Batter up.
Rock and Chris, they're on the air. Yankees, Mets, they're everywhere. From the Bronx to Queens, the diamond gleams. MLB talk, the ultimate team. MLB is the place to be. Rock and Chris with the pitch you'll see. Swinging stacks and stories fly. Baseball talk that's amplified.
All right, Rob, we're coming on. We had to react to this.
Yes.
Diaz to the Dodgers, 3 years, what, 69 million? What's your thoughts? You're the Met fan.
I'm not, well, I'm not happy about this, of course. Letting an elite closer go. But since the deals happened, we've been reading and seeing other things. The Mets offer, was for 3 years and 66 million. But also they said there was wiggle room to increase the dollar figures. But Diaz decided to go to the Dodgers instead, which is just telling me maybe Diaz did not want to come back. Now that I hear that, maybe Diaz did not want to come back, and he wanted to go. Listen, the Dodgers are going for their third consecutive World Series, right? The Mets have not won anything with this core. But it's tough. You lose Nimmo, a guy we loved. Now Diaz, a guy that I thought was a must sign. And, right now, and things probably going to change a little, but right now, Devin Williams is the New York Mets closer. And you know how that feels, Chris.
Yes. You know what? I think he'll do better with you guys than he did with the Yankees. But yeah, that was disappointing, I'm sure, because listen, if they signed Diaz, can you imagine they would be locked in for the next 3 years, Diaz and Williams as their eighth and ninth inning guy? I mean, that's a lot of money to invest in basically 2 innings, but you know what? That's the 2 most important innings in a game, especially when it comes to the playoffs, right? So
right.
I think this is it's a huge loss because to me, it doesn't seem like that much of a money value here that he went for to the Dodgers. I mean, they couldn't match that. They couldn't top it by a couple of million just to keep him. It makes no sense. And I mean, if he went for 5 years, yeah, you know what? Let him go. I get it. That's a lot of money. But 3 years, 69 million, that seems like something Stearns and Cohen could have at the very least matched easily and said, okay, there's wiggle room to go more, but we'll match it, right? Instead of going a little lower and saying there's wiggle room to go more, right? So, but like you said, maybe he wanted to leave, and can't blame the guy. He's going to the team that has won 2 straight and going for 3 in a row, which we haven't seen since the Yankees.
Yeah, and good afternoon, Maria. Thanks for tuning in. Listen, would it turn into a bidding war with LA? I don't know, but LA, listen, this hurts. There's no way around it. I'm not going to scream and yell like some other people. I'm not going to go nuts, but it's just it does. And Armand, you're right. This does sting. I really didn't expect this. I thought when we signed Williams, I thought we were going to have the best, 2 relief pitchers for the 8th and 9th inning in the major leagues, like we talked about. The best setup and the best closer. That's what I thought we were going to have. I was looking forward to that, and that's just it's a crusher. The LA Dodger fans must be going nuts right now. Yeah, so did I. I thought Diaz would be back over Alonso now, and we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. I don't even know what's going on with Alonso, but Chris, being an outsider, what are your thoughts about Diaz going to the Dodgers?
I mean, that's obviously what the Dodgers needed, right? I mean, last year they did spend a lot of money for their bullpen, and it just didn't work out, right? They got the guy from the Marlins. He didn't work out. They ended up closing with Sasaki towards the end there, but they want to put him back in the rotation, obviously. So they're working on bigger things too. Still, the Dodgers are not set. So you're going to expect the Dodgers to make more moves here because they got so much starting pitching depth, right? So they're definitely going to make some moves. I could see them. Listen, they might be in on Schwarber. We've already heard that. So the Dodgers aren't done. And I look at it this way. The Mets aren't done yet, right? Trust me. They obviously didn't bring in Diaz now, but they are going to be in on maybe the other top arms coming out of the bullpen in free agency, right? Suarez, I'm sure Fairbanks and others, they're going to be in on those guys. And plus, they can make trades. They got a lot of depth in their rotation, starting pitching, a lot of kids in the minors they could bring up. So they have the means to make a move, right? So, and I think the Mets are working on something much bigger than this, but this is a big loss because he's a proven closer, right? We've talked about it more than once. We've said it. Finding a closer that could close in New York is not easy. And Diaz obviously proved that, right? So to lose him over a couple of $1 million, it definitely hurts.
And we got a Dodgers fan out there who heard they're getting Bellinger too. Listen, I wouldn't be shocked right now if whoever the Dodgers are going to get. Would you?
Not. I'd like to see him come back to the Yankees, but yeah, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, listen, nothing the Dodgers do will shock me. You guys, you're going for your third consecutive World Series, like we said. And we have Bill out there, Puppet Bill's partner. And yes, it is a huge loss, Bill. By the way, Bill, thanks for the other night. We had great ratings on that show. Yes. Everybody loved you, and
listen, and I'm sure Bill the Puppet's going to react to this one. So he'll be putting a video up soon too. So look out for that.
And I'm not crying. But Stearns also said this morning that it's a very active trade talks going on all over the place. So here's what I want to hear, Chris. I want to hear, all right, Diaz is gone. I want to hear that these trade talks are that Skubal's coming to the Mets and the Mets are going to sign him to a long-term deal. That's the trade stuff I want to hear. I don't want to hear who's going, who the Mets are going to trade. I want to hear who they're going to get, like you said.
Yeah, and listen, they still need to find that frontline starter, right? That's going to be a big need for them, and I'm with you. I think that's what they're trying to do. At least I would hope so. The Mets need, right? He said they need to blow the doors off for Alonso, Mason Miller from the Padres. Yeah, listen, if the Padres are willing to trade him, yeah, I would definitely be in on that guy. I mean, that guy throws 100 and whatever, right? So I'm in on Miller. So
listen,
if he's put up.
Listen, if he's put up and the Mets would get Mason Miller, I would say Diaz who, because listen, Mason Miller's young. That guy throws over 100 miles per hour. Oh, that would be great. But right now everything's just rumors and hearsay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's still early in the offseason, right? I mean, obviously Schwarber just signed, so now you're going to start seeing guys getting signed now because the top. The top power bat just got signed, and also the top bullpen guy, closer, just got signed, right? And also one of the top starters have been signed already in Cease. So
yes,
all the top guys. So now, like the bar has been set, right? So now we should start seeing guys getting knocked off. Bellinger, we're going to see. Get Miller and Pivetta. You know what? Pivetta is. You got guys like Pivetta. I don't think you guys need Pivetta. You need a top of the rotation guy. Obviously, Skubal is one, but yeah, Mackenzie Gore from the Nationals. I don't know if the Nationals would do a deal with the Mets, but that's a guy. Sandy Alcantara, that's another guy. All those guys that you could get in a trade, Mets should be in on because that's what they need, a top of the rotation guy. Pivetta, to me, he did pitch great with the Padres, but I look at him as more of a 3, like like a middle rotation guy more than an ace type guy.
Yeah, the Mets, listen, the Mets do need that. They need that top starter. So they better start getting their butts in gear with this. I don't want to just keep hearing there's ongoing trade talks. The trade market's hot, blah, blah, blah. I want to see some deals. Because
I like that one.
I like that too. Yeah, the Dodgers are declaring war on the league. Yeah, on the whole major leagues.
You know what? The Dodgers are the Yankees from 20-something years ago, right? When they needed something, they went out and got it. They got aggressive and they went and got it, right? The Dodgers know they have this window with, guys like Freeman at first and Mookie Betts. They're in their 30s, like how many more prime years you got out of these guys? So they want to. They're trying to squeeze out as much as they can. So yeah, exactly. Good for them. I mean, LA is they're doing what they need to do because they know. Listen, they got 2 in a row. They're going for 3 in a row this year, and they are literally going for 3 in a row, and that's
Oh,
history, right? We haven't seen that since the Yankees, right? 98, 99, and 2000. So, and it's so hard to do, as we know, to go back to back, let alone 3 in a row. It's so hard to do in sports.
it's
So they're
it's
and they're
so hard
trying
to
for it.
it's so hard to win one now
Right,
with the way the postseason's set up. So I mean,
right.
you can't blame the Dodgers, and I just think Diaz wanted to go to LA. That's my feelings. Now that I'm reading all this stuff, if the Mets were willing to up the deal, why would you not want to stay? Also, people have been bringing up maybe the clubhouse. There's problems in the clubhouse, which we've been talking about. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe they want to bring in other people for the clubhouse. That's why they made the deal with Texas because he's a leader or something. And I don't know. There's so much going on. But let's get to the Phillies real quick. They signed Schwarber to a 5-year, $150 million deal. Not shocked about that, Chris.
No, not at all. And they know how important he is to the clubhouse, let alone the lineup, right?
Right.
We know he's a DH, he's 33, right? We know the age and all that, but he's so important, right? And in that ballpark, he's going to be good for 40, 50 home runs every season, right? For the next 4 years, especially playing as a DH. So they're obviously happy with him at DH and say Harper at first base. They're trying to move Castellanos because,
Yeah.
he's just taking up space at this point. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a big move for them. But now what is it? That's one less guy the Mets can use. The Mets
Yep.
can sign for their lineup because there's a big gaping hole. We've been talking about it, right? Bill brought it up Friday night. I've been bringing it up. They need a guy to bat behind Soto. Soto needs a big bat behind him. And right now, the Mets do not have one. I'm sure
No.
they're working on something, right? But the free agency options are starting to, dwindle here for the big bat that you need. So where are they going to go? That's going to be the interesting story.
See, but this shows the Phillies know how important Schwarber was to their ball
Right.
club to re-sign him. So the Mets should know how important Alonso is right now and re-sign him. Now, does Alonso want to leave now? We don't know. We don't know what's going on. He's down at the winter meetings to meet with the Red Sox, to meet with the Orioles. The Mets are not going to meet with him. The Mets said he already knows us. There's no need to meet with him. But here's what scares me. When stuff like this happens, if he gets a deal he likes from the Red Sox or the Orioles, do the Mets get a chance to top that offer, or does Pete just sign with them? We just saw what happened with Diaz. And Armand thinks that Pete is gone. A lot of people think Pete's gone. Now, I'm thinking about it. I'm not too sure.
Listen, I'm going to go from the Mets side. I'm going to go from their side. They offered this guy 7 years a couple of years ago, and he
Right.
turned them down, right? They signed him last year to a contract, and he opted out. So it's almost like the Mets are like, what else do we have to do for you, right? So they're going to give them their offer, whatever it is, and I'm sure it's not going to be 5, 6, 7 years, right? It's going to be 3 or 4 years, at least in my mind, for Alonso, because they look at him more as a DH, and you don't want to go too far as a DH, because guess what? Soto's going to be a DH in 5 years, right? If he doesn't opt out, because he might opt out as well. You never know. I'm just throwing that out, right? So I think he's going to go with whatever the best offer is out there. I'm sorry, I know Met fans don't want to hear that, and if the Mets don't have that offer, then he's going to wherever it's going to be. You know what? Let's put this out there. The Pittsburgh Pirates offered Schwarber 4 years, 120. What if they go and offer Alonso some money? I'm not saying they're going to offer him that much, but they might offer him something decent, and he might go there. That's a possibility now. I don't know what the Pirates are going to do, but what if a team like that steps out and does that? What if the Cubs? What if some other team does it? I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, listen. Anything could happen now. Okay, Okamoto at first base.
That would be a big move right there. That makes a lot of sense. I like that, Armand. But is that what they're going to do? Bregman probably is on Boston's list, right, as their number one guy to bring back. So we got to see what happens. Bregman's probably sitting back, getting a lot of good offers now from multiple teams.
Oh yeah, right now he's just sitting back and waiting for those offers to come in. So I don't blame him. But maybe the Mets trade for him. But I don't know. They're now happy with Beatty. It's just it's so we don't know what's going on right now. It's just crazy. This morning we were talking about, well, we hope some deals get made today, and a minute after we said that, all this
Right.
starts going on, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy, but I think we're going to start seeing more and more, and also in the trade market as well. I think there's going to be trades happening, and I think that's where the Mets are going to be working, their big offers, right? Because they have a lot of depth in the minors that they could make moves, right? Also in the rotation, right? You've heard today that they're willing to trade Peterson. We already heard that they wanted to trade Senga. So that's two starters right there that teams would be willing to, want. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe they could package those guys, or maybe, package some of the younger players and go to Detroit and get Scooble, right? So I think it's possible.
Yeah, I believe that, Armand, because it was shocking news. Because to me, it just happened so fast. You weren't expecting it. I thought things would go back and forth. And yeah, from what I heard, he indicated he wanted to return. So maybe he just said that to hope that the Dodgers would up their offer.
Right.
I don't know, but yeah, it is a shock, and it's not. Listen, when do you find a reliever like that who could pitch in New York under the pressure? We talk about that all the time, Chris. So a lot of these guys come
Yeah.
here and they just fold. And remember, his first year as a Met wasn't that great. In fact, that probably cost the Mets from going to the postseason, which we've talked a million times with Mickey Callaway about the 2019 team when he got there. And the main character in that one, people were saying, was Cano, but I think Diaz also was just as important to the Mets at that point. But all right, bottom line, Diaz is gone. You have Williams right now, so at least you have a closer. Chris,
You got a decent bullpen. I think the guys that you have right now are not bad, right? When you get, other than Williams, you got AJ Minter, Brooks Raley. When those guys are
Yeah,
healthy, those guys are really good, right? So
right.
I think it's not horrible, but it's like, what move are you going to make now? That to me, okay, you got Diaz. All right, we're over it for a second, right? So now it's like, okay, who else is out there? So you got Suarez, you could get the closer that was from the Padres. Fairbanks, closer from the Rays. We know Savino don't want him, so we don't.
Yeah.
We hope that he's not signed by
Yeah.
the Mets. But and there's also trades, like we said, they have the ammunition, right, to make moves. So
They do.
there's no reason not to do something here. They got the money, obviously, and they got the ammo with the prospects and everything else. Starting pitching to really make some big moves, and they have to, right? Because now they got holes, right? We've been talking
Yeah.
about it. They got a huge hole at first, and you got a huge hole in center or left field.
Right. Listen, you need like you said, and we said it today, and we've been saying it every day. We need protection for Soto, or else he's going to break the Major League walk record, right? And if they don't get protection for Soto, I mean, I can't see them not. They have to. Why would you invest that much money and then just do nothing? I mean, we saw what happened last year. It was it was horrible. So they have to do something, or else guess what? He's going to opt out eventually too. We have
And trust
to.
me, they won't be upset about that. I don't think, like he's opting out. It would be when he's 30 years old, if that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? If he opts out at 30 years old or 31, whatever it is, okay. You know what? We got 5 years out of you at peak value, whatever, then goodbye.
And no one may be willing to pay him then, as far as we have to see how things
Unless
go.
if he has the next 4 years, monster years like he just had, he'll probably opt out, right?
Yeah, no
he'll
doubt.
probably get more money. But that's
course.
also depending on if there's a cap and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So let's not even worry about that. But you got the next few years with Soto at peak, value and peak everything, right? So you got peak Soto for the next 4 years at the very least.
And
Build
they
around
got
him.
Yeah.
You got to get a bat. You have to get a bat. So, and I think they are. It's just a matter of who. Like right now, yeah, we're going to hear tons of names. Oh, they're in on this guy. They're in on that guy. But you know what? Until it gets done, we really won't know, right? But they
Right.
are in on a lot of guys for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And you know who else they lost out on? Ex-Met Steven Matz signed with the Rays.
I don't think Mets fans are upset about that.
Nah, 2-year deal. They didn't even announce the money for Matt. So he's, since he was on the Mets, then he signed a pretty good contract with the Cardinals. He's been all over the place.
Yeah.
But I see more moves. Let's talk about the Yanks for a minute, though. It seems like things are pretty quiet in the Bronx right now.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I don't like hearing they're all in on this guy, or all in on that guy, because then they're the favorite to sign this guy. I hate when they say that. Oh, the Yankees are the favorite to sign, XYZ. Like we heard that all last year. Oh, they were the favorites to sign Soto, and everything was pointing that direction, and then whoop, he was gone. So I'd rather it be quiet. And just like with the Mets, they're in on a lot of guys, and they're waiting for, like the price. I don't think they want to go out there and set the price for some of these guys, right? Set the market, right? On a Cody Bellinger. Like they're waiting for that, like, okay, we know we want to pay X amount of years, and they're waiting for someone to go higher than that. Then they're like, all right, that's a little too much for us. We're going to go in a different directions, right? So I think that's what they're kind of waiting on. So we'll see. But I kind of like this better. It's just, I know fans, like both of us, like we want to see action. We want to see our teams sign guys, trade for guys. We want to see action. But hopefully this kind of breaks the seal on the free agency moves and maybe some of the bigger trades. And we'll start seeing some movement for both our teams.
Yeah, I think so. I think that today and tomorrow there's probably more deals going on. Sometimes, though, it depends on the winter meetings are crazy sometimes. Sometimes they're slow. Sometimes they have one day with a lot of activity and then it ends with, it ends like a lamb, and you just never know what's going to happen at the winter meetings. But I think with the New York Mets, they have the pieces to make deals. So I think Stearns is talking to other clubs. He has a lot to offer, right? Look at all the young players that are major league ready, who have played, who they could trade. So they're going to make some deals. I just hope they make the right ones.
Of course. Hey, listen, and they're going to be good. I have no doubt in my mind. I think it's more about, I'd be worried more about like what are the Phillies going to do, right? Because the Phillies, they still have Ranger Suarez out there as a free agent. Are they going to re-sign him? How are you going to replace that kid, in your rotation? Like what are the Phillies going to do? Because they have the older core anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they would like to move on from, like I said, Castellanos. Are they going to re-sign Real Muto? So the Phillies have, just as many moves that they have to make, or, as much, I would say, as the Mets, right? Because the Mets, like we said, they got big holes now. You got 3 holes in their lineup: first base, center, and left field. And you need that ace starting pitcher at the top of their rotation. So that's 4 big time players that the Mets need.
Yeah, they listen.
What's going on?
They have some work to do. Let's just remind everybody, though, what the Mets are losing when they lose Diaz. Last year, All-Star, right? 98 strikeouts, 1.63 ERA in 66 and 1/3 innings. So listen, and they have to do, and 28 saves. Sorry. They have to do something. I can't believe this is it for the bullpen, Williams. I think even though like you said, they have a decent bullpen when healthy, but I think they still have to make some moves. And let's see. That's true. They Phillies do have.
Yeah, it's possible. Listen, but you know what? Until he's a proven commodity in the major leagues, you know what? They're just a prospect, right? Like you guys seen it with your guys. I've seen it with my pitchers and players. Until they're up and they prove themselves, it's just a name, right? Like like the Yankees have seen Dominguez. Holmes comes. Yeah, that's a you know what? I didn't even think of that. That's a
But
possibility.
it's a
I don't know if that's a good
possibility.
thing, but that's a possibility.
It's a possibility, but right now I don't see that happening because the Mets need the pitching. Unless those kids. Listen, McLean. I think McLean's going to be great.
He's definitely
He's just
he's
one of
definitely
those
in the
guys.
rotation.
Yeah. All right. But we don't know what's going to happen with Peterson, right? We don't know what is going to happen with Senga. So
Yeah.
Holmes, I don't know if Holmes is going to the bullpen. But yeah, Bill, you're right. That's
an
another
option,
option.
That's a good option to have. I mean, he's a good, like he's a proven guy. Listen, he had his ups and downs with the Yankees, so I'm not saying
Right.
he's anywhere near what Diaz is, but he's probably gonna be better than most of what you could get out there in free agency. So because he's already done it in New York. Obviously, he's a closer, setup guy with the Yankees, and now as a starter for you guys. So he's done it all. So, but that's a great option because they have those pitchers. They just don't have the ace. So if they could find an ace somewhere out there in a trade or in free agency, I heard that they were talking to Michael King today. That's actually not a bad deal too. When he's healthy, that guy's definitely up there. And
Okay.
he did not think
said
about
he's
it
in
until then, but
that he's in the rotation. Okay, yeah, but it's an option, right?
Right.
It's an option if they
Absolutely.
ever need it. So, but right now I don't see that happening. But all right, so Chris, do you have anything else you want to say before I give the promo for the next couple of shows?
No, you know what? Nothing right now. I mean, other than listen, the Mets and Mr. Stearns they have to get to work now, right? Now
Right.
you lost Diaz. What are you going to do with Alonso, right? You got your holes at first, in center, in left, and in the number one rotation, right? So that's what you got to start working on, and I'm sure they are, but now it's time to start seeing.
So here's what's going to happen. Deals like what just happened today with Diaz, we're going to pop on and we're going to do, 20 minutes or so when these deals come on. So be prepared for us just popping on with shows. But for our regular show, we're going to be on Thursday night, 9 p.m. Chauncey Hayden is going to come on, talk Mets and Yankees, and then he's going to talk about his new book, which is, so far, we've checked it out, his music interviews, and it's great so far. What I read anyway, it's a really good book.
Absolutely, yeah. I've loved it so far. I've read a few of them, and they're really good. And just get back to our shows. Listen, if you don't catch us live, just go on YouTube. You know where to catch us there. Go to YouTube, hit that sub button, right? And you can watch all of our shows after, even if you miss it live, which is fine. But we'd love to have you on live because you guys interact with us, and that's what we love.
We have that. So thanks. We had a pretty for like deciding to do this about 45 minutes ago or so. We had a pretty good viewership out there. So we thank you guys. We'll see you definitely Thursday at 9 p.m. And if there's deals, we'll see you then. Thanks for watching.